Okie dokie. This is another story I had that I find pretty interesting right now because, well, you'll find out anyway. But anyhow, one morning when I lived in Fresno, California, I remember waking up and hearing helicopters flying close by our house, and I remember my sister shouting that we were on TV. And I'm like, huh? No way. Because I don't see any cameras. LOL. But I mosey out of my bed and I go to the living room and seeing a house on fire. And I'm like, we're not on TV. But one of the cameras caught a glimpse of our house. And I was like, holy shit, we are on TV. But really, it was the neighbor's house they were filming. And it was set in a humongous blaze. I walked to our front door where my mom stood with it cracked open, and she opened it so we could see. And yeah, the neighbor's house was engulfed in flames, and I'm like, holy shit, I hope whoever's in there is okay. I mean, this place was getting cooked for real. And I actually do know who was in there. It was my friends, but I couldn't tell at first. But anyway, she said my stepdad went to see what was really going on, and it was crazy. Then get this, after the firefight and they finally cooled it off, and the neighbor kids, which we kind of knew, were on TV explaining what happened, and they said they were up in the attic with a lamp plugged in the other side of the wall for whatever reason I'll never know, but it was on the other side, and that someone ran across it and tripped over it, sparking a flame in the outlet. And then they said it happened so quick that everything up there was already on fire before they could think of anything to put it out. So best they could do was get out of the house. And I'm like, wow, and then it was kind of sad because they said they lived there their whole lives, and everything in their home was gone. Reminds me how quickly you can just lose everything in a split second. Like, they were crying and shit, and I felt super bad. Where would they stay? Now I wondered to myself. I didn't ask them, I just felt bad. And even then I saw them at school a couple days after, and I think they were staying at a relative's or something because everybody was asking them. But man, so much smoke and shit, and it's sad that shit, like, all that shit you work for could be gone with something as simple as that. And they was just glad they got out. Just a little story, like the hurricane going on right now, reminding me of how ruthless Mother Nature in this world actually is. It truly is a dark and unforgiving hell planet, and it's sad because nobody cares unless you got money. And if you don't, you're good as dead anyway. Them crying on TV interview reminded me of that even at a young age. But speaking of the hurricane too, when we were in Lakeland, Florida, when Katrina hit, and that shit was merciless even there. Like, that shit was dark and scary. I remember just watching shit fly all over the place, and it's amazing that wind can do that. Like, I remember my sister walked out the door and she kind of lifted off the ground because there's nowhere you can hide because Florida ain't really got basements. But yeah, power was for sure out, and the candles were on at night anyway. And it was crazy because at night usually the storm settled a little bit at night. But what I was saying was, that shit brings you together as a family because you realize how nothing you are without it. Like, I remember it was a time to be closer to each other, and I kind of liked it, seeing how we weren't getting hit the hardest. Like, yeah, it was scary, but the scarier part was driving around afterwards and looking at the real damage. But it's crazy because right now, as I type this in Ohio, I'm watching TV and scrolling on my phone and ignoring the outside world, and I'm not alone either. Like, that's what everyone does. We're all just so separated and can't relate to each other and shit. It's so distant, but those real life events remind me of what this fake world has become. I guess I'm just getting old because I keep thinking about when you had no choice but to be close to each other. And the world just makes you wonder, like, I truly feel like nobody loves one another anymore. And everything is just a transaction. And it's really just dark and sad. Like, I remember with the lights being out and the candles on, and like seeing the glow on everyone's face because there's no light, and it just, like, it makes you think about how everything's a light now, like just screens and fucking cars and everything else. And, like, none of that shit really matters when you don't have anything, and it's just funny to think that, I guess. Even though it's kind of sad. And another thing I wanted to point out, just like, we used to have a fireplace, and we'd all just sit by the fireplace on, like, Christmas Eve or Halloween or whatever it may be. And definitely Halloween. I liked Halloween more than Christmas, but yeah, we'd all just chill by the fire, and, like, everyone would be, like, snuggled up all the time, and, like, really miss that. I'm just so lonely, I think about that a lot, and I'm like, we always used to be so, like, close, and, like, really good times, like, fireplace, and, we were indoors, but we'd still roast marshmallows anyways, and it was cute and cool. And, just feel like all that shit is gone, all them vibes are, like, disappeared, and I'll never have those memories again. So just something to think about, like, how sad is this planet now. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even think I, like, laugh anymore. Like, it's not genuine, like, I'm not, like, genuinely funny or genuinely happy or anything. It's like, it just sucks. Growing up sucks. And, like, another thing I'm noticing is, like, the internet's not working. I mean, it's making me edgy because there's nothing else to do but watch videos and shit. And you can't do that either. And you're like, but at least I ain't getting obliterated out there by, like, fucking Mother Nature's wrath or whatever. But still, it's just like everything's so dead and annoying.